Let's go. Hi, everybody. Warriors, SPX tested the breakout at 4,800, something that we've been talking about here for a while, and actually unveiled a megaphone pattern many months ago that showed that target 4,900, 4,800. So maybe some short covering here for a day. I was thinking about it. It got to that target too fast for my liking. It's not just the price, but sometimes, well, not sometimes,
It's the
how it gets
speed.
to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's like the market's been in a car wreck. Okay, so it's in shock, and bulls that are looking for a low. I think you're, probably looking at June, July. I'm not saying there aren't going to be rallies, but I'm not thinking this is going to be the low anymore. Okay, so maybe we get a bounce for four and finish it off later. But like I said a while ago, I think you could buy almost anything cheaper into May, June, July timeframe. I don't think April's going to be a good time for getting long, except maybe crude, because BB's coming to Washington today. And I don't think they're talking about Gaza. I think they firmed up a date. Anyway, let's go and take a look at what's going on. Yields aren't falling like they had been for a long time. So uh, let's take a look at things. Yen was trying to bounce a little bit last night. Anyway, there's a line, guys. All right. So right to it. Uh, Still pretty amazing. That's a
So,
megaphone
so do
line.
you buy here, Dale?
Well, last night, but I can't reach up here. I
You
wouldn't be
know,
short. I wouldn't be short right now, Blake.
yeah, I put in a pattern in play because I talked about it in the week ahead video. I'm
Okay,
like, you got to be a buyer below 4,900. We put a pattern in play last night
nice.
because you got to do it. I mean,
Where'd you
these are
get
the,
in?
huh?
Where'd you get in?
We put it in at 48. No, no, no. Let me see. 48.90 to 49.20. So
Yeah,
we were trading at 48.95 when I
nice.
put it in. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, this is one of those that it's like some of the best trades are the ones that make you puke, right?
yeah. That are real. Because I mean, look at the
They're
RSI. What
uncomfortable.
is it? 10?
Hmm.
I mean that. So I mean, markets don't put in major lows, but it's a trade. So there's the where could it get to? It left a lot of gaps on the way down. I don't think this is a low for the end of four, and we're going to make new highs. You?
Oh no, 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 no,
Yeah,
no,
it's
no.
just a
These are the
trade.
ones these are just trades. You sell matter of fact, I'm really, really excited for the next couple of weeks. I really want to I really want to sell S&P on any rally now. So you get
Okay,
anywhere above 5,200, you got to be on the short side, in my opinion. So
okay, all right.
yeah.
Well, that's what's happening now. Okay, so you take advantage of now. But I don't think there's going to be big position trades in almost anything until late spring, summer. I still think the gold top last week. And if we get anything here, it'd be a short covering rally. And what's interesting to me about this is last night another big feature is look what happened. It's coming back now to the gold silver ratio. I mean, this spike was unbelievable, and
When's the last time you saw something like that in gold silver ratio?
um, I
I mean,
I can't remember. I've old timers.
let's say old timers.
Yeah. Anyway, anyway, I'm looking for a rally to sell in gold. I covered my Newmont puts on Friday. I'm figuring maybe 30.80. I don't think this is a low in gold either, and we're going to rally to new highs because it took care of the divergence here. It didn't. If the RSI was still here, the last reading, and we were down here, then yeah, I'd be looking for a new high, but I'm not anymore. And if the gold silver ratio is turning, that makes gold your preferred short. and silver your preferred long. Silver bounced pretty good too, but this is going to take some work too, just like the market. This was in an auto wreck too, and the whole market is kind of in shock. I'd say currencies handled it the best. Than as far as being stretched to extreme ranges, etc. I think the currencies held up the best. So let's talk currencies with our trading warrior brother Kman. Good morning, buddy.
Hi, Dale. How's life? Hello, everybody.
It's life is worth living.
Oh yeah, definitely,
You could be
definitely. And we
alive.
feel we feel
You could
quite
be
alive right
alive and you could be alive and not be living.
now.
All
Yeah.
right. Anyway, I've done that. So let's talk about euro. To me, it still looks constructive. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
time to buy it yet.
Mm.
Maybe the Dixie has 103, 103 and a half, and but this
Thing is,
too, this
yeah.
too, you know,
The thing is, there's a few things to think about, and there's one that I actually forgot to mention on the flow show. So I'm going to say it here. It is not seldom that we put in extremes on the Monday opening in Asia. And even though I still think we are trading the global slowdown right now, for as long as nothing new happens on the tariffs, especially not tariffs getting canceled or scaled down. But in the meantime, yeah, it's not seldom that we trade extremes on a Monday Asian Open, especially that nothing happened to reduce the tension. So the Asian markets went a bit bananas on the open. China as well
okay,
was closed on Friday, so they reopened today. They did not trade this yet. So I think there may be a case for an intermediate bottom on the S&P. I highlighted that 48.15 as well. It's not only the prior high, but it's also 50% of the last spike higher on the S&P. We're also coming into very decent levels, in my opinion, somewhere around 16 and a quarter, 16 and a half on the Nasdaq. Um, there, the jury is also completely out because we don't know what Europe is going to do on digital taxes and stuff. Um, but it could be a pretty decent level that we visited there over the Asian session. So it says it's back over to the US now. What you guys want to do with everything? Because we in Europe we spent most of the morning consolidating and or continuing to trade stuff that we've been trading on Friday. And you're talking about the euro dollar that you said, but
yeah,
I don't like the euro. I don't like this pushing and pulling in the euro dollar right now. Yeah, because the euro crosses are still bid. The
yeah,
euro crosses are still bid. But the thing is, do you want to keep euros when there's a risk for the European economy as well? And I think there's also, I mean, you guys were talking about needing to buy back dollars because of this risk off, but I think it's going to come in waves, and you don't. I can't see a clear picture right now in the euro dollar. I want to buy the dips as such because I think it's worse for the US perhaps than for the others right now.
hmm
Um, but I don't know where whether I buy it here or I wait 107 and a half or so.
yeah. Yeah, I think it could get to 7.5,
I think it could if you break below today's lows, it's
880.
a bit of a
Yeah,
retracement level. But if you break below those lows, I think we will be straight away at 107 and a half.
yeah. I'm
Because
I'm
of
a
the
buyer
volatility,
there.
because of the volatile nature of the beast right now and of the whole market right now. Yeah, I think it's still that is still the thing to play because we are not completely done with this, especially if Europe slaps retaliatory measures. Whoa, on the
Retaliatory. But but you speak English like You know,
Like who?
like an American.
Do I?
Yeah.
I thought I had more of a UK kind of accent, but I mean,
No,
yeah, I don't,
Ryan has, Ryan's I love the guy, but sometimes
yeah, that's good.
I can't understand the get through the dialect.
Nah, but
But
that's done
huh?
on purpose.
Oh, really? That
They don't they,
jerk.
they don't want you to
They
understand.
don't want you to know what they said to you. Only they take pleasure in it. Okay. Uh, all
Um,
right. That's
yeah,
for
but then I
Go
still
ahead.
find risk being very fragile because you just hovered over the euro sterling. I mean, that's the an interesting one for risk, you know.
Yeah.
It is still very big, and that still tells us that this market is not done with risk. It is a risk currency after all, the sterling. So that tells us we are not done with this yet.
Okay. Well, then so
Yeah,
when it's doing this, this is risk off.
yeah, most of the time, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, most of the
And
time. Yeah, for
I
various
didn't know that.
factors, but when euro sterling rises, most of the time it signals a bit of risk off.
Okay. So could we make a
40,
recovery in the yen here?
yeah,
We've
40,
had oh,
mm,
go ahead. Did I interrupt
44 and
you?
a half, 45 is a level for me. And I'm not going to say it's the level of no return because we have been trading lower, of course, in past months. But 44 and a half, 45 is a decent level for me on the dollar yen. And on the other side, 7 and a quarter. If you just want to have the range for the start of the week, which covers roughly what we did on Friday as well.
Yeah.
We can't put it any tighter because it's yen and it's
Yeah.
volatile. So,
Yeah.
but I think yeah, 7 and a quarter, 44 and a half, 45 on the other side, and watch for, of course, what Risky is doing, but we should there should be a call upcoming between Ishiba and Trump as well, and that is obviously going to be a bit of a driver. But because imagine that. Well, either side of the thing. Trump says like, okay, yeah, we still need Japan, so we are going to be nice to them. Or he says like, I don't care, you pay like all the others. That's going to move the yen, of course.
Okay. I wanted to just cover this because it's a big part of the trade war.
Yeah, and
And
it
and
looks as if we may finally see the Chinese financial officials they started, or there was an article at least in the Chinese press saying that they may start to look at cutting rates or RRR, and PBOC did fix the dollar yuan fixing a bit higher again today. So we may be seeing perhaps the premises of letting slip the Chinese yuan a bit.
yeah, that's been a big fear in the market for over a year. I've
Yeah,
heard it from different people like Adam and that they just let it go
but I think
as
we may be at
retail.
the start of.
Huh?
We may be at the start of.
Yeah. So I mean, this looks pretty bullish to me.
Agreed.
Okay, so you know, they're going to use all their ammunition. Um, so this looks like a bull flag,
Mm,
right? Off this straight flag
mm.
pole. Measures pretty
And
good,
mm,
so this too is to pressure us. Okay, so
yeah, watch those prior highs. I mean, we've got like three very clear tops in there in the dollar Chinese yuan. Get through 730, 738. It's probably going to accelerate.
IRS, hold it, it's tax time. IRS tax. Oh, gosh, you don't. Oh, yeah, they said you don't have to file this year because Doge cut a lot of the IRS staff and they're overloaded. I'm kidding. You still have to file. Anyway, so I think that's covered a lot. I got stopped out at WTI.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, but you know what? I still, could this be a false breakdown here? I think
It-
so. I think
yeah, but
this meeting's about the military strike.
let them do that false breakout first before re-entering, I think, because the Saudis are also cutting their oil prices to their big Asian buyers. So
Yeah.
they're putting an extra weight around WTI and whatever oil because it's Brent as well.
Yeah.
Nick, you know, it's
So you wait till it gets back into the triangle,
yeah, I
and
think
then and then you can go with it.
yeah, because if we don't get back into it, Dale, this can trade
Yeah,
$50 before you know it.
I know. I
We've
know.
done
So
we've done we've done what 13, $14 since the announcements, like from 72 down to what 59. Um, Add another 12 to onto it. Why not?
yeah.
And you
No,
traded
it's
$50.
possible. And nothing. Have you noticed everything looks like this? Okay, yeah, I could go
Yeah,
across the whole screen. Everything looks like that.
the global
Silver look,
slowdown.
everything. Okay.
Yeah. Mm,
This you want to see? Okay. Anyway, so everything is fell off uh Niagara Falls in a barrel. And if you're looking for positions, you have to give the market time to heal if you're
mm,
looking except to scalp.
yeah.
Okay. So I think it's a scalping market for Blake will love it probably until late spring,
Oh,
summer.
this is gonna be like a playground now for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it truly is.
I know you love this stuff. So here it is. And best way to take advantage of it is hang out with the team after F.A.C.E and
Mm.
immerse
I
yourself
just
for the rest of the
mm.
day. Huh?
Can I just reply quickly to Forex Gal because she's asking about bonds.
Oh,
Um,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, trading is one thing, but if you look at what's really happening now, is that the market is trapped between potential inflation pressure and then pressure on growth. So I think bonds could get volatile, but perhaps not break new ground. Obviously, if you start unemployment see go up or GDP getting absolutely trounced and we trade recession, the bond market is going to be sinister. Yeah, I mean yields are going to collapse regardless what inflation does. But it was quite funny what Powell said on Friday because he still puts inflation on an equal footing with growth worries. So that I think is what the market is hearing today as well, is that it's maybe not all done to the downside for yields. Because also, if you think about confidence crisis in the US, if people get out of US bonds, that also will put upward pressure on yields in a certain way. So I do think that for the time being, you need to be very careful to. I don't think it's going to be one-way traffic. It's going to
You,
be a yo-yo, a real yo-yo for a while.
you know what, Kay? I know they rallied, and because I even talked about it, and Jim was looking for a couple more. But when you think about it, in comparison to the kind of plunge that we had in risk,
Hmm.
it really wasn't, like the bonds in the old days. They'd be up 2 points on days like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that goes to the point that there are other factors besides
Hmm.
risk off playing into the bond market.
Yeah.
It's not how it used to be still,
No.
I
No.
think.
And yeah. Well, I mean, we can talk about that for hours, but I think um you can turn it how you want, but the pandemic has changed a lot of money flows, and all the money flows now seems to be accelerated, but both ends. We used to have weeks of bond yields going down because you trade a global slowdown and stuff. Now it could just be days, and then we can trade the other side again. I mean, it's just so accelerated because there's just a heap more money in the market as well that flows around. So yeah, I think there's going to go a lot of two-way trading in the next coming sessions.
Okay.
So the question is, what do we do here and what do we do now? And that's what everybody wants to know that's listening in. Like, what do I do with what we've got? And I have to say this is a level that was, January of 2022 where the S&P
Yeah.
broke out. That was the previous high, so that was the breakout point. And this has to hold as support. And would you say at this stage in the game that we are guaranteed to hold this level?
No.
No, we're not. Dale, I can't reiterate how long you've been saying that we're gonna, see 4,900. We got here. And we got here fast, as you pointed out initially. It's not getting here, but it's how fast we got here, which makes it extremely, as in Elliott wave terms, impulsive, which is a
Yeah.
scary thing. Which that's why when you asked me a little bit earlier, even though we're getting long risk down here, and have since last night, this is a trade. And as I explained in the week ahead video this weekend, these are tradable levels. But as Kman just pointed out, this is where you start getting the two-way price action, which is great for us. I mentioned this during the week ahead video, and I'm gonna mention it here since we're live, on Monday morning. On Thursday, we approved the most amount of live trading accounts in trader funding program that I think we have
Nice.
matched our previous high. So that means, as you guys know this, if you guys want to figure out how to get funded or you don't have larger trading accounts to trade, check out the trader funding program. You can do a immediate funding, or you can do a one-step assessment, which is a more economical way, but you can also, get up to $1 million account too. So check out the trader funding program. You can find it right on Forex Analytics. But this type of volatility just gives us a lot of opportunity. And so speaking of opportunity, I'm going to tell you guys what I'm thinking right now. I do think that we are going to start to see bounces, but they're going to be very short-lived until there's some I
Clarity.
know there's going to be negotiations, and we have to imagine there's going to be a lot of officials, whether it's Lutnick or Bessent or any type of White House official, is maybe even Donald Trump himself is going to be talking about, I've been on the phone, I've had communications with blah 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 blah. We've talked to so and so, but April 9th is in 2 days. That's when the reciprocal tariffs go into effect. So until there's like some definitive deal done with China, which I don't think is going to necessarily be the case, or with Europe, talks and negotiations are great, but they're just that. They're just negotiations and it's just talks. This market is freaked out and we are in a shoot first, ask questions later market. You know, we haven't seen this type of price action since COVID. We had a
Right.
COVID lockdown and everybody's like, get me the hell out. I'll figure this out later. We'll reprice risk later. We'll have to get all of our strategists and analysts to figure out what's proper price for anything or everything, but get me out today. That's the attitude we are having right now. Blood in the streets. But Dale, you've been around long enough. When there's blood in the streets, it's
Yeah.
usually a great opportunity, right?
You learn a lot from even like I have some pretty smart followers on X, and this one guy sent me a chart of the S&P and Russell,
Mm-hmm.
um, putting in a reversal last week where Russell held up better. But then I look for confirmation what I see in the charts and elsewhere. But Peter Navarro, I don't care what your politics are. He's not a dumb guy. He used to be on CNBC a lot as an analyst of stocks. Okay, he's sharp, and what he said when he was being interviewed about the crash is, and it's true, he said, well, next time when after we bottom, and he's confident that eventually we bottom, maybe it's 4,300, 4,500, I don't know, but the companies that are going to thrive, why fight? They say don't fight the Fed, don't fight Trump. When you think about it, look at the big advantage. This may even save Tesla. So Tesla's big competitor was China was making EVs for 6K that were better, people were saying, than Tesla. Okay, and
BYD,
uh,
baby.
right. So
BYD.
now with the tariffs, Tesla's economical. And if he can get over his PR problem here, Um, all so you want to start looking for countries that do make things here in the U.S. companies, which are mainly the Russell, that will benefit from lower rates. Because when you think about it, even though they came and bent their knee and gave Trump millions before his inauguration, uh, those are the elites, okay? And it's like even when Vance came out, they said, what do you have to say about the market crashing? You know what he said? Most Americans don't own stock.
Oh yeah, no, that
You know what I mean?
they're definitely going to their base. They don't give a
Yeah.
shit about the top
So,
10%.
so the base companies are going to be in the Russell, not in the Qs. So I'm not saying that the Mag 7 won't come back when we
Right.
turn, but the outperformance will come from domestic companies. And just something for people to chew on. We're not there yet, but that could be the new leadership. Look, people have been waiting for the Russell to begin to outperform for, I don't know, about 100 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. And they probably have given up on that idea now. So put it in your think tank.
You know, back in the 80s and well, prior to the 90s, back when I became a stockbroker, I was actually a stockbroker. We actually picked individual stocks. Now they're all just wealth managers. So you just, throw
Yeah.
it all in an index and just, they're be done with it. Look, it's all going to be about certain selections, stock selection, individual stocks, finding those great pockets, and you're going to have to actually do some thinking. Speaking of thinking, I want to talk about a couple opportunities today. So Aussie yen hit the 127% extension of this big move last night. We put in a pattern in play last night at 86.90 to 87.25. I got long, scalped out of it for 125 pips, I think, when I got out of it. But it's still moving. And the thing about the Aussie yen, and the reason why I bring this up, if this breaches 90, we get back above 90, I think it's going to be a good signal from the FX market, from currencies, that we're going to see a little squeeze in the market. Another opportunity for you currency traders out there. Look at the dollar MEX. The dollar MEX has rallied to the 127%
Yeah.
extension. I believe these levels need to be sold. If you just connect some of these upper trend lines here, you'll look something like that. We get back below 2055. That's another signal from the FX market that the FX market is easing a little bit. That means stocks might recover. Those are things that I think you should be looking at today. Kman, what are you looking at today? What are some good opportunities for our listeners that they're listening in right now?
Well, yeah, now it's already moving higher again, but I find it quite good that .yen is holding 144.5, 145, and we had a retest earlier today in Asia. And I think if it breaks 147 figure a quarter, it may squeeze a little. And
And as we're pointing out, the 127% extension, yeah, it's holding up really, really well. So if
yeah,
we get it back above here, I mean, as
yeah.
K-Man's pointing out, it could be a little squeeze. All right, good.
And if you look at it to the other side, there is a mega level coming up in zone coming up in dollar Swiss if the shit continues to hit the fan. 84, 83 and a quarter is really a big zone for me. And I dare to imagine that we may see a bit of S&B activity if we get down there. I think so.
Aha. All right. All right. Very good. Dale, what are you looking at today? What are some good opportunities? I know you're bringing on your guest, but what are you seeing?
Someone asked about the yen. I bought it just for a pop last night. I've already taken half with B stops, but I'm a seller in the yen up around that 148 level if they could squeeze it up there.
All right. If we squeeze 148, you're looking for a short squeeze up to about 148. That's that previous support, that green line
Yeah.
right there. By the way, you might notice all these alerts going off on the Euro Aussie. We did put in a pattern in play on the Euro Aussie this morning. It's already up about 0.5%. There's a head and shoulder pattern. We're already short If you are part of the Forex Analytics community, you saw this about an hour and a half ago. So that points to about
Nice.
178 and change. So jump in here to the Forex Analytics community. Again, if you want to know about all of this stuff before it even happens, like this Euro Aussie right here. And you can see how Omar, he was talking, this will be massive for risk on trades. Yeah, it's already signaling. The FX market's already telling us that there's some recovery attempts coming. And matter of fact, look at the DAX. The DAX is 6% off its lows. I'm not saying that the US equity markets are going to do that, but hey, and I know, Dale,
Well,
it's
they
time
were
for your
They have
interview.
already bounced
They
quite violently, yeah.
Yeah, and they were
Yeah.
stronger going into it, so they've held a lot of lows, unlike U.S. markets.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to see that divergence between
Right.
U.S. equities and we're going to see that under exceptionalism. I just made
Okay.
that word up. And
Okay.
Steve Vogel's here, but Steve, I just realized that it's already interview time. Steve, you want to say anything before we all see you on the morning edge in about 45 minutes? All the Forex Analytics subscribers. He's muted. Steve?
Okay.
Yeah, maybe not. All right.
Here, I'll do it.
All right,
What
you do
well, hey,
it. Hey,
hey, mate. Well,
oh,
as a
come on.
matter of fact, what?
Steve, we'll
Anyway,
see you on the morning edge. It looks like you have Alexander here, so I'm going
yeah,
to pass it over to you. Dale,
real
have a
lousy
great
phone
interview.
game
Kman,
reception.
great flow show this morning. If you guys aren't listening to Kman while you're getting ready, putting on your boots, getting ready for today, I listen to him even though it's a recording. I still listen to it in the morning. So Kman, great job over there.
To be in the know, you got to go to the flow show.
That's
All
right.
right. So thank you, Kay. And it's like Ryan. Who needs him when we have K-Man, right? We all need
Good
him.
coach.
Anyway, thank you, Kay. Thank you, Blake. Let's have a great week, everybody. And I'm going to bring in Alexander Perna, who has taught hundreds of traders over his career how to trade, and he does a lot of work with relative strengths. It's been a while, about a quarter since I've had a chance to say hello to you, Alexander. How's it going with you?
Good morning, Dale. It's great
Good
to be
morning,
here.
buddy.
Hey, you
Yeah,
guys, you're a funny man. You guys work great together.
we like the combination of compelling and fun.
Oh, that's great.
Uh, you
That's
know,
great.
so so before we get started with your work, one of your associates who I had interviewed, at least I don't know, four times or so, Trader Goalie One, I believe was his handle, passed.
Yeah, yeah, Bob Dunn.
That's his name. Yeah, and he was a
Mm,
hockey player, played hockey
yeah,
with all those guys there, and he was a former floor trader, and everyone loved him.
yeah, he was
So
a great guy.
yeah, so
It was sad.
uh, anyway, just a reminder, that life is fragile, and that money isn't everything,
Mm,
and that if you're doing what you love and helping people at the same time, it's not work.
mm.
Like
I
like
agree.
he
I agree.
like he like
Focus on
he
what you
lived.
love. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Like you said earlier, you can be alive and not living.
yeah,
So, following the passions, doing what you love.
yeah,
And the markets was definitely a part of him. That guy was wild. He
yeah,
was a true floor trader from Chicago. He'd set up his laptop in class. I remember one day putting on live positions that would just fluctuate from 100K, to 75K, just blowing everyone away. He was a big trader, and he liked
yeah.
to show off all his cars. He had the Batmobile and a tank.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Yeah, and he lived in Chicago, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Never left home.
Mm-mm. No, that
Okay.
was him.
Yeah. I couldn't wait to leave. Anyway, Left with $1,000 in my pocket, in a like, I don't know, 15, 20-year-old big boat Cadillac that broke down on me, to head out west. So go west, young man, and I did it. I mean, I used to watch the Rose Bowl from where we lived in
Mm.
Chicago, and there'd be like 3 inches of ice on the window,
Oh,
and I'd see people out there without their shirts on getting a suntan on New Year's Day. I said, "What
that
the hell are
sounds
we doing here?"
sounds terrible from a
Plus, plus
Floridian
Jan and Dean,
standpoint.
plus Jan and Dean said 2 girls for every guy. How can you pass up a risk reward ratio like
That's
that? Huh,
those are
buddy?
good ratios.
All right.
Yeah,
All right. So what are
beautiful.
you seeing and thinking since we've entered this crisis here?
Oh, well, after Liberation Day, we definitely had you know, decent moves in the currency market. So
Yeah.
so definitely a little overextended, I would think. Um, I'm definitely in the camp of I see
You want
the
you
yen
want to share your
trending.
screen and
Oh, yeah, sure.
yeah, that way we could get the picture.
Let's see here.
I know you have your own kind of relative strength meter for currencies, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. Could be called a meter, heat
Okay.
map, if you
Heat
will.
map. Okay.
Yeah, really, I actually try to get away from the relative strengthening because I confuse a lot of people because they then start thinking about
It's
RSI,
RSI. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This kind of is more in like a strong weak analysis. So just kind of comparing currencies, single currencies, and trying to measure just their performance against other single currencies, which is difficult to do. Um, so
Well,
what I end up
Euro's got to be at the top of the heap, right?
um, it's up there. This is a I hope you can see my screen. This is a
Yeah, we got it.
weekly. So this is a weekly chart. So I update this just once a week on Sunday. So it's a fairly slow mover, but yeah, you can see Euro up there is the yellow one, kind of hovering around the top three. So typically, what I try to do as a trend trader is to pair one of the top three or four with one of the bottom three or four, and
Okay.
you can. That's a really general approach. Really, the idea is just you want a little bit of a spread between the two. So
Were
something
you
that I
long
would
Euro Aussie? That was a home run ball.
Yeah, Euro, a lot of the Euro Aussie, Euro New Zealand,
Yeah.
Euro CAD,
Yeah.
pair those with the pound as well. Um,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
but talking about the Euro, one pair that hasn't really moved all that much, it would be like Euro Yen, right? So just
Okay.
kind of bringing in this analysis. If I wanted to trade the Euro, I'd be looking at the bottom there. Like you said, Euro Aussie was a really good move. Even if you bring in the pound as well, it's not, in the top three, but it is the top four. Dollar right there in the middle. And it's been kind of consistent, kind of just hanging out there. So I haven't really done too much with the dollar, but really, if anything, it was like dollar yen.
Yeah.
Even if the dollar's in the middle or it's staying pretty consistent, if you have a currency that starts to move up in the chart, that'll also help. So yen has kind of gotten its tick up now. Not like it has much more to go, but seeing the yen moving up definitely makes me bullish yen as a single currency. So
Okay.
it's
Right.
a love
Okay.
hate thing. As a trader, I gotta buy the yen. But I really like to see it weak because I go to Japan quite often. So
Okay. Now I understand. Yeah, that's right. You told me. You told all of
yeah,
us last time.
yeah.
Um, do these things ever become contrarian indicators?
Um, Not really.
Okay, I didn't think so because
This is pure trend.
yeah.
Really, you wanna just kind of go with the flow with this analysis. It doesn't really show any kind of divergence. This is purely just looking at what is the performance of single currencies compared to one another, and then just trying to order them just to get an idea of where trends might be, whether they're just starting or they've just been going on for a while. So with how weak the New Zealand currency has been, with some of those cross pairs, it's just been in a trend for a while. Euro New Zealand,
And
pound New Zealand.
Aussie was dragging its butt dramatically. I kept waiting for it to, get involved in the dollar decline, and it just never really could.
Yeah, with all this tariff and the trade war, I guess the market's just really pricing in lower commodities at this moment. So they're just really, really feeling that. So this is a weekly chart. And for anyone who trades smaller time frames, I also post, let's see here. This is something that I update daily, which is about because I do this by hand still. So I have my Excel spreadsheet. This picture is basically a screenshot. So, theoretically, this could be done on any time frame, but the lower the time frame, the more it updates, and it's just how much time do you want to put into this? So kind of just seeing general trend pictures. But like I said, this is more of like a daily analysis. So there's euro at the top. I mean, you can see the yen and Swiss as well. Swiss has gotten very strong. And then you got Aussie New Zealand dollar at the bottom. So just trying to play some of that. Definitely, like you were talking about, dollar yen is a good one. And I like the analysis that you were talking about. Let's just jump over there. Coming into that 145 level, definitely seeing it's trying to put in a bottom. If we can push up, like you said, 148, somewhere around that 150 handle, I think would be a good opportunity to start looking for some weakness. With the way that I like to trade, I try to really focus on the origin of big moves. Right. So just kind of bringing in the idea of supply and demand, orders coming in, orders going out, and orders being removed. So somewhere around 150, just kind of throw this. Oh, yeah, maybe what I'll do here is.
Yeah, because even though yields are overdone too, and they may, stiffen up a little bit, I don't think they're done going down.
Yeah, I mean, this is just an very obvious trend. So it's kind of what I really gravitate towards when I'm looking for opportunities. So just seeing that this big move came out from around 150, just to me is telling me that something up there happened to just remove all the buy orders. So, whether it's a lot of banks, big institutions
It was
selling
risk
enough.
off. Risk off.
Yeah, looking to just buy yen. And in terms of buying yen, that means this chart's going down. But you can just kind of see over time, you just focus on bigger moves. It's the origin of wrong tool. Origin of bigger moves here. Just that nice little push lower.
Yeah.
Price comes back up and it has memory. Not that it always works, but that's kind of how I hone in on this stuff. If I'm bullish the yen and I'm bearish the dollar, so I'm looking for dollar yen to continue lower. I really don't want to just, even if you're bearish the pair, doesn't really mean you just want to sell it anywhere.
No.
Trying to look for,
be tactical.
Yeah, of course, low risk, high reward, high probability type setups.
I noticed on your last chart, a change was gold leaving the leadership of relative strength and moving down a little bit. I think that's going to continue for a while. I'm going to sell a rip in gold. If we get a retrace move on gold, I think it's still crowded.
Yeah, I sit on my hands a lot. I don't I typically am just a net buyer. I don't really trade gold as much, but
No.
I like to stack it, whether
Yeah.
it's tokenized or physical if it really gets low. But yeah, seeing gold starting to come off of its high, especially in terms of other currencies.
Yeah.
So the
But
Swiss and the
and
yen.
that's a meaningful drop. Didn't just drop to second. It
Mhm.
dropped quite a bit in what, a 1 week's time? Because last week was the first down week, really. So it had to
Yeah,
have done it all in a week.
we can I'm working on one chart here, so I have to try to maneuver this around. But what we can do here is kind of look at gold and other currencies.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
So here's gold Swiss.
Yeah.
So that was that big drop that kind
Yeah.
of started to push gold lower, and what
Yeah.
was also above it, yen.
Yeah.
So you can see it's reacting to just those lows right now. And
Right.
who else was it? Euro.
Yeah. So I sell a rip here,
Mm,
61.8 or so. It's against all currencies. We'll see.
yeah,
And
it's
mainly the share, I'm selling miners anyway, so at times it's two
okay.
different things. Because if
Mm,
you look at the Newmont chart, while gold was making new highs, you pull up a daily on Newmont, and it looks
oof.
like a bear flag, right?
Mm, yeah, that's not it's not
Yeah.
very bullish.
No, so put up a daily and you get a bigger perspective, or weekly even gives, see? So really, with all that gold has done in 2025, record highs, Newmont still looks like a retrace that could try the lows.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
how I'm
they
trading the
the
golds.
big boys, the big miners always have issues.
Yeah. Well,
Barrick is also kind of just
yeah,
stuck in its big range. I
yeah.
don't know if you've looked at
Well, I
the
think the
Canadian
trade of the
miner.
decade's coming up this uh summer, and it's going to be silver miners. Because once
Mm,
the silver, they're turning the gold silver ratio, but I think that's going to be a huge play. And by then, I think the Fed is in with all bazookas. So that's my take. Um, best look ahead for you here, Alexander, that
like
or uh, are you just working with people on Twitter that see your stuff and they're interested and they have
uh,
questions, they just DM you
yeah,
or
they reach out, and I don't mind answering questions. I don't really work with traders anymore.
yeah,
I just kind
yeah.
of trade, and I like to do my traveling and
Yeah,
whatnot. But
you have the life that a lot of people are trying to accomplish. Um, tell them how many years it took to get from point A to point B to have the lifestyle you have now. How many years?
oh, well, I've been involved in the market for about 16 now. So I started when I was about 18 or so. So
Wow.
back in 2008.
Yeah.
Um, so that was an interesting time. I kind of got in right when we were really seeing, the big
Yeah.
bear market in equities as it
Right.
started to bottom out. And so that was definitely fun, trying to learn all the patterns and try to find myself as a trader, if you will. And then I struggled. I wouldn't say I picked this up easily. It probably took me a good 4 years or so
Bingo.
to be
You know how
consistent.
many people say 4 years?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
really?
It's amazing. That's why I asked the question.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
You know.
It took me 40, 40 years. Anyway, I hope you guys learn. I'm starting to get the hang of it now. Um, so what do you want to leave us with here with volatility in markets? You've been around, you saw what happened in '08, you saw what happened in 2020, You saw what's happened in 2022. So you've lived through a couple of bearish cycles. What's the best advice you could give people during these times of high emotion, um, a little bit of panic in the markets where they, had all, there were like car wrecks on a lot of different charts. Um,
Yeah,
what would you tell your students that had new money to come into the market right now with? What would you say?
definitely don't panic. The market's going to change, and I guess piggybacking off of what we were talking about just now with how long it took me to get this, I would say, the market's going to change, but that doesn't mean you need to change. Being consistent, applying the same methodology,
I love that.
not just not allowing the market to push you around, and it doesn't mean that we can't grow as traders. We always want to learn how to apply our method better, learn the type of markets that it works in. But just seeing something not work right now because we went from an uptrend to a downtrend, doesn't mean we want to start to jump around, go to a different strategy, start watching someone new on YouTube. Not that we can't learn things by seeing how other traders operate in the market, but really, really not allowing the fear to drive that. So consistency in action, I think, is really important to traders. And sometimes when the market really starts to move fast, we kind of throw all that out the window.
Yeah.
So stick to the trends.
That's a
I would
great
say,
tagline. You said markets change. It doesn't mean we have to.
mm,
That is
yeah,
really that's a key. So just because the markets change doesn't mean that I'm going to stop looking for three drive patterns or
right.
confirm momentum or diverging momentum. It's the same. Maybe I would just add reduce leverage in these environments.
Definitely. I mean, if you start to see that impact in your equity, if you're getting loss and loss and loss over because of increased volatility, I agree, because
Yeah.
I also recommend to never stop trading, right? So we don't want to get in a position where we get so frustrated we just kind of push the laptop back and we say I'm done, right? Because then that day turns into a week, turns into a month. We always want to be engaged with the market. We always want to be engaged with ourselves and aware of the emotions that we're experiencing. So staying engaged doesn't mean we have to be 100% risk, reducing
Yeah.
the leverage. Worst case, jump to the demo, but never stop engaging the market as a trader. It's really important that
You know,
we just don't let fear take hold.
Alexander, when I was at FX Street, I wrote a song. I haven't sang it in a while, but it got into people's heads so that they had to get actually psychological help so they wouldn't keep repeating it in their head. It has use less margin when you trade the markets. Don't try and turn $10 into $1,000 if you don't use less leverage. You might lose your head and your account will be dead. Use less margin, use less leverage.
Wise words in a catchy tune.
Anyway, it's been great
Uh,
catching up with you, buddy. I hope this is a great year for you. And
Thank you. You as well.
and
It's always a pleasure to come on here. It's an honor to talk with you.
oh well, what are you trying to do? Make me blush?
I
Anyway,
wish you deserve it every now and then.
all right, buddy. I accept it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And Mandy says of your talks in the market, finally someone who talks sense. So
Thank you,
you could
Mandy.
follow Alexander. He should be on your follow list. at Who's Trends. Okay, Who's
Hmm.
Trend? WHOS Trend. Alexander Perna,
Thank you,
a
Dale.
guy who retired from the teaching profession. Took him 4 years to learn, and he's Liberation Day. Okay, he's liberated, and so that's it, everyone. Don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Join the team in 20 minutes. Thank you, Alexander. I'll talk to you in June or July, and everyone have a great trading day. Be careful. There have been car wrecks out there. You don't have to trade. You can let the dust settle and just let the
Hmm.
good setups come to you. You don't have, if you find yourself scanning a lot right now, you're looking at this, looking at this, looking at that. There's a chance there might be nothing to do. So you could accept that and walk away. But I guarantee you that if you're patient, there'll be something so compelling that you won't be able to resist, because you would rather be stopped out and proven wrong than have the opportunity cost. And with that being said, everyone have a great day. See you for Turnaround Tuesday, and great seeing you, buddy. I
You
mean,
as
well,
well.
hearing you. All right, Alexander.
Take
Thanks,
care.
buddy. All
Bye
right.
bye.
Adios, everyone. See you tomorrow.